Okay, we are going to begin with Daf Yudalid Amud Beis, 3 lines before the Y lines. Tana Rabbanan, we're going back. We did it yesterday, the Seder of Nevi'im, but we're going to quickly start from there, Chazer it, and continue on to the Ksuvim. Tana Rabbanan, Sedron Shel Nevi'im. What is the Seder of the Nevi'im? It starts with Yeshua, V'Shoiftim, then Shmuel, U'Melachim, Yirmiyah, Yecheskel, then Yeshaya, and the last one is Shnei Masar. We call it Treasa. Now, Frek the Gemara. If you look inside in Nach, you see that the beginning of Treasa, the first sefer in Treasa today is Yehoshua. Hosheya, sorry, not Yeshua, Hosheya. So Frek the Gemara, Mechti, Hosheya Kadim. Hosheya was much before. It was an earlier time. So the Frek the Gemara. How do we know that it was first? The Chesiv, it says, Tchilas diber Hashem b'Shia. Hashem spoke first with Hosea. Telling us that the Rebbeinu Shalom spoke to him first. There was many Nevi'im. Kam Nevi'im ayu. V'amar Rabbi Yochanan, Shahaya tchila la'arba Nevi'im shenisnam nevaysa perek. Hosea was one of the first, and who is that? Ve'helein, Hosea ve'Yeshaya, Amos and Micha. So for the Gemara, it's very clear that Hosea was before Yeshaya. So if so, why is Hosea and Treasa, which is the last sefer, it should be before Yeshaya? Fan for the Gemara. We looked at this part of the Kasha. You should put Hosea before Yeshaya. Fan for the Gemara. Kiv on the Chesiv Nuvase. Since Hosea's Nevuah was recorded at the same time of Chagi's Chayu Malachi, which is at the last farm in Treasa, therefore. V'chagis, Chayim Malachi, Saiv Nevi'im ayu, Chashiv le'baidayu. Hosea was therefore Nechlon the Treasa. So Frekdemar, okay. But v'lichtamei l'chudei, v'lichtamei, put why is Hosea part of Treasa? Make it its own separate sefer and put it before Yeshai. Fine for the Gemara, I did the Zuta Merkos. We were afraid that if we would make Treasa, Hosea out of Treasa, make it separate. We're very nervous at cinch. It's such a small, it's only a few chapters, it would get lost in its time. Therefore, we put it in Treasa like that. It's one big sefer. Frek the Mar continues, Mechti. Yeshaya lived, called him Yirmiyah v'Yecheskel. So look to Yeshaya Bereisha. Again, if you look at the Nevi'im, where is Yeshaya? It's interesting. Today, if you open up, you see clearly that if you look in I'm looking at Tanakh, they put Yeshaya, Yirmiyah, Yecheskel. That's how they do it. Not like, the way the Gemara is asking. But the Gemara is asking that it's not like that in the Seder. So, Frek the Gemara, look to Yeshaya Bereisha should be before Yirmiyah and Yecheskel. Remember the Gemara, Kiv and the Melachim, since the end of the Melachim is talking about Churban, so Churban is talking about destruction. Yirmiyah is Kuli Charbana. And what is Yecheskel? So it starts off with Churban and ends with Nechemta. The Yeshaya is what? Kuli Nechemta. Therefore, Samchina we put Churbana leChurbana, v'Nechemta leNechemta. That's why we want to have it connected. That's why Yirmiyah is after Yecheskel. Okay. Seder Shel Ksuvim. We're about to hop into Seder Ksuvim. Again, I was looking at the Tanakh. Today, it's not like that, the way the Gemara is explaining. I guess they did change it around. Maybe it just... I'm looking at, who made this, Masorah Publications. They can decide whatever they want, how to set it up. Okay, Seder Shel Ksuvim. Rus, the Sefer Tehillim. Then we have Iyov, we have Mishlei, Kehala, Sheashirim, Kikinas, Daniel, Megillas Esther, Ezra, and then we have Divrei Hayamim. That's the last of the Ksuvim. So, for the Gemara, we're going to see later, there's a machlekes when Iyov was. We're going to focus on the end of today's daf and tomorrow heavily. L'man Damar Iyov was b'mei Moshe Haya, was at the time of the Moshe Rabbeinu. So Likdamil Iyov Bereisha, then Iyov should be way in the beginning of Ksuvim. Should be the first one. In fact, the Gemara, we don't want to start with Iyov. Why? Because Iyov was full of punishment. Puranas, right? Eschule bePurunasa, Laim Eschalinu. We don't want to start with the whole Iyov is basically about the punishments. Okay, Rus Nami, for the Gemara, Rus was also full of talks about the famine, the death of Elimelech. Puranas, remember the Gemara, Puranas Dislech, Rayis. Who came out? We Acharis has the ending. Who's that? David HaMelech came out of Rus. Damar Rabbi Yochanan Lamed Koshma Rus Shel Yatzim Imenu David Cherionu LaKadosh Baruch Hu B'Shirais Nitishbachais. Okay, very good shmak. That's why we could have Rus also before. Okay. Mik Savan. Now, who wrote? We're going to go through who wrote Bechlal the whole Tanakh going on. So Moshe Kasef Sif, right? Moshe Rabbeinu wrote the Chumash. Uparshas Bilam v'Iyav. He also wrote Bilam v'Iyav. This is going to man number Iyav M'Maishaya. Yeshua Kasa Sivra Yishmaina Psukim Shabbatayra. These are the 8 psukim where it talks about the death of Moshe Rabbeinu, right? We're going to go to Shmuel Kasa Sifra Yishmael Beros. Shmuel wrote also his Sefer and also Shayth Rose. David Kasa Sefer Tehillim. Idei. However, if we're going to go through Tehillim, there's many psukim. Lametzecha Yalas Hashacham and it's Ledav and Mizmah and Moshe. We're going to see him and Ezrachim and Peites. We're going to have a lot. So let's go through it. David Kasa Sefer Demadei Asar Skenim Adei Adam Rishon. Adam Rishon is Kuf Lametes. Okay, Gomurayu Enecha talks about over there. All those Geshmak psukim. And then Aidei Malki Tzedek, where we have it in Tehillim and Kuf Yud. Then we have Aidei Avram, which we starts off Maskin Leheisan, who's Heisan Ezrachi. And we're going to see that. Who's that? That's Avram Avinu. Aidei Moshe, like it clearly says, Tfilu Moshe Ish Elikim. Aidei Haman, again, starts with Maskin Leheiman. That's in Tzaddik Peiches. Vayidei Yudusan, which is Lametzech Yudusan Mizmah, which is in Lametes. Vayidei Asaf, which is also the bunch of psukim. Vayidei Asaf, it's also talks about it. It goes through the whole chapters. I think it starts off with basically the whole Yom Sheni. Okay, starts with Yom Sheni and the psukim before that. Vayidei Shleisha B'nei Kairach. Yirmiyah Kasav Sifra V'Sefer Melachim V'Kinis Chizkiah V'Siyahu. We're going to see the people who outlived them. Also Kasu. What do they write? Yeshaya, Yamshak, which is Yeshaya, Simon, which is Yeshaya, Mishle, Shir, Shirim, and Kaheles. Anshek Knesset Gdaila, who do they write? Kasu, again, Kandak Simon, which stands for Yecheskel, Ushne Masar, which is the Nun, Daniel, Megillas, Esther. Okay, Megillas the Gimel. Ezra Kasa Sifra V'Yichas Al Shil Divrei Yamim, Ad Loi, until his own lineage. Okay, he didn't mention his own name. Zok the Marmi Saile the Rav, the Amr review the Rav, like Allah Ezra Mibavel, Ad Sheiches Atzma Ive Allah. Okay, so who finished up Ezra? Manaske? Nechemia ben Chachaleya. Okay. Chachaleya. Okay, Amamar Yeshua Kasasifroi, who Shmoine Psukin Shebetayra. Tanya, Samachlaikis. Who wrote the 8 psukim? Command them. Yeshua Ksav the Tanya says, "Vayamas Shah Moshe Eved Hashem." Efshar Moshe makes a cause of Yahweh Shah Moshe. That can be. Ela'ad can cause of Moshe. Mikam Elach who wrote a cause of Yeshua. That's who. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda Amar Lasam says was Menachemia. Amar Lev Shemen. Efshar Sefer Torah Chasar is Achas. That can be either. Uchsev LaKayach as Sefer HaTorah Hazeh, which is complete. It sounds like. He would dictate, the Rebbeinu would dictate what to write, he would write it. However, some say it was with his tears, which is not something that's permanent, it was only temporary, therefore he was able to write the Isis with his tears. Some people want to learn that's what Dema means, and some want to learn that he did not repeat before he wrote it. Therefore he wasn't lying either, but not repeating it and writing it with tears. Okay. Like we're going to say, this is talking about Baruch. Baruch was who? Was Yirmiyah's Sefer. And he said, Baruch mepiv yikar, right? Yirmiyah is going to talk to me. It's called a dorm. What?
And he will write it.
And he will write it, right? And he wrote this as a pasuk in the Yirmiyah, right? That this is talking about Baruch. Told them. Yirmiyah Baruch, which was a Sefer. Now we're going to talk about the Shmoine Psukim of this Moshe Rabbeinu and his mace. Kaman also Adam Bar Abba Amar Gidol Amarav. That watch Shmoine Psukim Shabbatayra Yachid Kair Eisen. It's a separate halacha that we have to read it at one time. Okay. Mara says, Klaima Imaf Sigma names Dr. Rashi. Let's try to say it's Rabbi Yehudi, like Reb Shimon. Why? Because according to Reb Shimon, it was written just like the rest of the time. Maybe it was Bedma, but Rabbi Yehuda is the one who says it was written not by Yeshua. So it wasn't written by Moshe. Therefore, it makes sense that we should do like a shinui. No. Since it wasn't with ink, rather it was with tears. Ishtanu, we can have its own separate dinim, and the halach is a mafsikim. Yeshua kasa sifrei. In fact, the Mar, how could it be? Same thing we have in the Torah by Yamas. Yeshua, and no, Eved Hashem. He could have either wrote it, just like we're having our machlaikas with Moshe Rabbeinu. The Gemara in Chanami, the Aska, Eliezer finished. Eliezer ben Aaron makes. What's going on over there? Again, for the Gemara, the Aska Pinchas, and Pinchas finished that part up. Okay. However, the reason why it doesn't mention Pinchas Elazar, because he basically wrote the whole entire Sefer except this last part. Shmuel Kassis Sifri, again, B'Ksiv Shmuel Meis, who finished it up, asking God, Achayzev and Asan and Navi. Okay, very easy Gemara today, just very simple flow of the Tanakh. David Kassis Sefer Tehillim Day, Asar Askenim. But Leichshav Nas, Nami Esan Ezrach. You should also include it, because we know that in Tzadi, not Tzadi, in Pei Tes, we say, Lamanetech Esan Ezrachi. Who is this? Esan Ezrachi is Avram, which we already put it in the Asara earlier, right? We said Asar Skenim, which was Avram Avinu. Ksiv Halchad, we know that it was Avram Avinu. It says in Tehillim, Esan Ezrachi. And what to say regarding Avram Avinu in the Torah? Ksiv Asa, Mi Ha'ir, Mi Ha'ir, Mi Mizrach. Who is the one whose mayor is inspiring from the east? Tzedek V'Gaimin, it talks about Avram Avinu is the one who came from the east. So Ezrachi, which is the Lashon east, who is that talking about? Avram Avinu. Fact the Gemara, Kachashem Moshe, the Kachashem Haman. You're putting Moshe Rabbeinu and Haman. V'Amarav, who is Haman? Haman's a Moshe. So what's going on? How do we know that? Ksiv Hacha, it says in Tehillim, Haman. The Ksiv Hasam, and it also says, in regarding Moshe Rabbeinu, B'chal Beisi Nemanhu. Right? Both places it says Neman. So why do we separate Haman and Moshe? If I have the Gemara, no. There was Shrei, Haman have Moshe, and the one in Tehillim is not Moshe Rabbeinu. Haman over there he was an author, he was a member, they bring down of the Shir Leviim, he had a beautiful voice, and he's saying in the base of Mikdash. Okay. And some say Rabbeinu Gershom wants to say he was the Neched of Shmuel, he was his grandson. Okay. Gemara is going to bring out another, now we're going to start talking about Eve. Ma'isha Kassis Sifri, Parshas Bilam, V'Iyov. Okay. Misai Reb Levi Bar Lachman, the Amar Reb Levi Bar Lachman, Iyov was Bimei Ma'isha Haya. And Reb Levi is going to bring a raya. Ksiv Hacha, it says in the pasuk in Eve, Mi Yitain Ephai. Who will the words be written now? V'Yichtavun Mili. Who's going to basically saying? He was saying, my words are going to be written, but where is the writer? Okay. Ksiv Hasam, and also says we're going to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe said, "Ubima yivada ephai." How will it then be known? Ephai will be known. Also, it's talking about in Shemais. We see ephai. We're trying to pull out. It was b'mei Ev. Ev was b'mei Moshe. Be'ema b'mei Yitzchak. Once you go in that direction, I can find the other psukim that has the word ephai. Dichsev mi ephai. We're talking about who atzatzayid, right? We know this by Yitzchak with Esav, right? Okay, Ve'ema again I can say B'mei Yaakov Dechsev Imkein Ephah Zais Asu. Also a pasuk by regarding Yaakov we have the word Ephah. Ve'ema Yosef Dechsev Ephahim Rayim. Where are they pasturing? Right when he asked them either by the Mechira. Okay, but the point is very simple. All the psukim have the word Ephah. So why are we specifically jumping onto Moshe Rabbeinu? We have it by Avram, we have it by Yitzchak, and we have it by Yosef. Regarding it says about Eov, says that the words of Eov were inscribed. The Yechuka should be inscribed. Who is the one who was inscribed? The Mechaykek was Moshe Rabbeinu Chsev. It says, we're talking about God. God took for himself a part. Why? Kisham Chalkas Mechaykek, the burial of the Mechaykek, when that was Moshe Rabbeinu's Safon, was hidden. Okay, so therefore we see, it's Pasuk in Dvarim, we see that the Mechaykek is, we have Heifa, we have, what do we have? We have two, we have Eifa and Mechaykek together. We're going to say it's Moshe Rabbeinu. There's another sheet that holds Eve wasn't Bimei Moshe, it was Bimei Miraglim. Rav Amar Eve was at the time Bimei Miraglim Hayo. They were sent to Moshe Rabbeinu. Ksiv Hacha, it says in the Eve, Ish Hayo, there was a man in the land, Be'eretz Utz. In the land of Utz, Eve Shammai, his name was Eve. Ksiv Hasam, guarded the Miraglim, when they asked them, do you see trees in Eretz Yisrael? Hayesh Ba'etz. Again, they were playing on the words of Eitz to Utz. Okay. Mi dami hacha Utz. Hasam Eitz. One's a tree, one's a city. What's the comparison? So Hachi Kamer. We're not going Utz and Eitz. We're going to Hachi Kamer Moshe Yisrael. Yeshna la'isa Adam sheshnaysev harukatz gates. There's a certain man, we're talking about Eve, who lived among the Goyim in Eretz Yisrael, who was like an Eitz. Umagin al dair ka'Eitz, just like an Eitz protects the shade, right? It has shade, it protects the sun. With the shade, go find out. He's basically saying, go find out if this man, Eov, is still alive. Okay. He was basically saying, Re'isem, what was Moshe Rabbeinu tell them, Raglam? Re'isem es and find out, Hayesh ba'etz, if there's that tree. What's that tree? That tree is a person. Who was that? Eov. Okay, very good shmak. Another opinion was, they said, Eov loy haya v'loy nivra ela mashal haya. It was a marshal to people that provide arguments against those who question the Rebbeinu Shalom Midas Hadin, and to teach that a person is not held accountable for what he says while he's under duress. That's what Rashi wants to say, that he was just a marshal. When a person's full of tsar, Rebbeinu Shalom is not going to hold him so much accountable. So we have three mahalchim, either b'mei Moshe, b'mei Raglim, or never happened. Just a mashal. Amar later Shmuel Nechemeni told this Tamach Alech Amakra. On this the pasuk says ish haya. Haya talks about an Ev. It says haya be'eretz utz. Ev shemai. Why would you use the word haya if it's just a mashal? Elamata. So this Tamach Chacham, this person, this Yosef Umer Rabbanan, answer back. Well, Rash, it says, it talks about pasuk in Shmuel is also a mashal regarding Nasan. He was telling us about when David HaMelech married Bathsheba. So we're talking about that Maisa. And he says, V'larash ain't called Kim Kifsa Achas. The poor only has one sheep. Tana Shekana V'Yechiel. And he's talking about the, as a marshal to David HaMelech. Okay. And the pasuk says, Vatihi. Also, the sheep was like a daughter of Vatihi Kavas. So Frektamar Mihava. The sheep was only a marshal. That's not an argument. Just like Achanami Mashbam, you could even find Hagan, there's a verb, Haya, could also be a marshal. In Cain, this is where it gets issues. Shemai v'Shemir Lama. Mishalem, you don't have to stick to the marshal. Don't start getting carried away with cities and places. It happens to be good people when they want to say a marshal, they don't want to tell you it's a marshal, they want to portray to you that it's a story. They start adding much more details to give you the impression that they're really saying a story, and then you end up later on telling them that it's only a marshal. Okay. There's another opinion. Rabbi Yechon Eov Ma'ila Gaila Haya. We're in the fourth. We had Moshe Rabbeinu Miraglim. Never happened. Ayla Gaila. Ubeis Midrashai. Where was it? Was B'Tveria Haya. Fact the Gemara Meisvei Yemesh and Isa Shel Eov. The days of Eov was Misha Shenechnu Yisrael Mitzrayim V'Yachi Yatzu. So according to this brisa, you clearly see that when did Eov live? Many years before going up to Bavel. So the Gemara answers, the brisa is not talking about the era which Eov lived, rather how long did Eov live? Ema Kimisha'a, just like Shenichnas Yisrael Mitzrayim Ha'Cha Shiyatzu. How many years was that? We all know was 210. And Rashi explains, when he was 70 years old, he got the bracha that he's going to live double his life. What's 70 plus 140? 210. That's why everything makes sense. So according to this opinion of Yechon Belazar, who's Ma'ila Gaila, it's clearly evident that Eov was a Yid. The Gemara is going to bring kashas in this. Meisvei, you tell me, is a Yid. Shiv and Evim Nisnabalu Masaylam, those 7 prophets for the nations of the Velt. Ve'elohein Bilam Va'aviv. And Aviv, because it says its name out there. Ve'eov, let's punchline on this, underline this Eov. Elifas etimani, Uvildad, Shuchi, Ve'tzayfa, and Amasi, Ve'elihuv, Ben Rechal Abuzi. But very clearly, let's stick to the point that Eov was part of the Umasaylam. You see, he was another Umas Halaylam. It sounds like he was not a Jew. We all know that he was a Yid. Right?
How do we know?
How do we know? Maksiv? How do we know this? Mimishpachas. Ram. What is Ram? Avram Avinu, they want to say. Okay, more than that, or it was not Avram Avinu, or we don't say who the Mishpacha is. We don't care if you're not a Yid. So we clearly know he's a Yid, and Alpha Pekin, we mention him. They were Yidim, but they were for the Umas Ha'olam to be their prophets. Achanami Eov, Inabi, and Inaboy, Inabi L'Umas Ha'olam. So for the Gemara, Atukulu Nevi'im Ilai, Inabi L'Umas Ha'olam. All Nevi'im also gave for the Umas Ha'olam Nevi'is. And for the Gemara, Hasam, the typical Nevi'im were Ikanu V'Asayu. Their primary purpose of being Navi was Israel. Okay, the Gemara is going to challenge this view. Very clearly, he was Umas Aylam. His chil mecharif megadev. He started cursing out through the B'nai Shalaylam. Cover like Kadosh Baruch Hu schar b'olam hazeh. Kidei l'tadrim and olam haba. Like this, he's not going to have any schar up there. However, what do we clearly see from this brayso? Eve was a guy. And for the Gemara, no, it's not a raya. Tanoi, machlekes b'chlal. What was he? The Tanya Belaza Aimer Eov b'mei shvayt hashayftim haya, because it says v'yihi b'mei shvayt hashayftim haya. It's talking about between Yeshua's death and Shmuel and Shaul's becoming a melech, where the Yidden were led by a bunch of melachim, by a bunch of shayftim. Sorry, Shenemar, like Eov told his friends, Hein atem kulchem chazisem. You've seen what befalls a wicked person. Why do you act in this false manner? Which dar was this? That everyone was considered, even the best from the best were considered not. Even the judges were corrupt. Okay. That means even the judges needed to be judged. Okay, this is basically what happened was all the friends of Eve came to give him Musar. He answered back, you guys also need Musar. You're all corrupt. Okay, including them. Very geschmack. When was I? So wow, we have many, much later. So much later. We already have, this is number 7, I think, when Eve was. Right? We have Moshe. Okay. Shenemar veloy nimtza nashim yafais. Kivnois Eve b'chol haaretz. Okay, it sounds like when was the time search we made for beautiful Ezer Darshan is back by Nashim Yalfas. We all know as Achashverosh. Haviyim is a dairoi shel Achashverosh, like the Megillah says. Name of David. You can already say David. We all know David vayivakshu nara yafa. By David HaMelech. Right? We're looking for David HaMelech to marry a beautiful woman.
He was very sick.
Who, David? Right. Hasam there by David HaMelech b'chol gvul Yisrael. They looked over Hacha. It says by Eve b'chol haaretz, and that we know took place. Like the Bryce Megillah says, he was the Melech in Kol Ha'olam. Okay, Manasseh Naimer Eve b'mei Malchus. We're up to, I think we're not working with David because it was just a Havamina. So we're up to, I think, number 8. He was at the time of Malchus Shva, time of Shlomo Melech. Shenemar Vatipol. What's it say in the pasuk? Vatipol Shva Vatikachim. They took Eov's cattle. The Chachamim no Eov b'mei kasdim. It was the time of the kasdim. That was also the time of the era of Nebuchadnezzar Rasha. Shenemar, like it says, kasdim samu shleisha rashim. The Kasdians, they had 3 divisions to go against Eov's camels. Okay. Someone to say Eov b'mei Yaakov haya. Wow. Medina bas Yaakov nasa ksev hacha, like it says in Eov. Kedaber achas hanevalis. We're going to put on the word on nevalis. Did the baby? You talk like one of the nevalis. Ksev hasam. Who is this? We all know by Shechem. Medina kinevala, like the Torah says, nevala also be Yisrael. Okay. Trying to bring a marshal that Eov and his wife Dina. Okay. The kula tonight, really the Eve Yisrael have. Is this really true? The Varmei Yishaymer? Right? They said he lived at the time of Yaakov Avinu. If you think that they were what? From the nations, it can be. Basra the Shach of Moshe. Once Moshe Rabbeinu died, Mishai Shechina lived the Kachavim, Amamar, because Moshe Shalitish Shechina, I lived the Kachavim. V'nasalei, Rebbeinu Shalom let him. Shenamar, like it says, V'niflinu ani v'amcha. I and Klais are going to be different. So all the Tanaim who hold that Eve lived after Moshe Rabbeinu, he had to say that he what? He was a Yid. Otherwise, he would not have had Shechina. However, only the Mandama says Eve b'mei Yaakov haya. Then we could say Ulai that Eve was not a Yid. It's possible. Okay. Now they do bring out the Mefarshim ask, why is this so complicated? We have so many different shittas about history. Eve. Open up the history book. We don't have questions when Eve's the issue, it sounds like. It's not so clear when Eve was. So they bring down, the answer is that Eve was the Sefer Eve was very not famous. And it got lost. And very few individuals had access to it. And that's what happens over time. People they forget about it. The Ritva brings this down, and therefore it ends up coming a dispute when history was. Okay, now we're going to continue with Psukim. My Rabbi Yechanan Dar Shel Eov Shativ Bezima Hayo is full of zima. Sheinam, like it says, Hey Natem Kulchem Chazisim Lashon looking. Right? V'lam is a hevel tabalu. Why do you act in this hevel? Chazisim is an immoral gazing at woman. The chsiv, as it says, Shuvi Shuvi Yashu Lamed Shuvi Shuvi Nechsabach. Okay, right? This is the pasuk in Shir. That all the goyim tell the Yidden, come be mezana with us and come do all the averis. Ema b'nevuah. Maybe you could say chazeh is a lashon nevuah, seeing a prophet, seeing a vision. Dichsev, like it says, Chazon Yeshayiv and Amites. There clearly we see Chazayin is a lashon nevuah. Right? So maybe Eve was telling them that you're looking at the wrong nevuah. Okay. Time for the Gemara. Imkei. Lama zeh hevel tabalu. Lamali. Why was it necessary for him to say lashon hevel tabalu, which is a false manner? It could have just said you act in a false manner. Okay. Lama zeh is extra. Lama zeh is meyusser. It's extra. If you're talking about in this scenario. However, if he's telling them in the lashon of nus, then you could say, let's look at note 28. Do we have note 28? We'll say it inside. The word lamazeh is miyusr. But if Eve is talking about chazeh and a lashon znos, then you can understand the pasuk as follows. Hey natem kulchem chazisem. Behold, you're all looking at this. Not nice. Not watching Shmir Sinayim. V'lamazeh hevel tabalu. So who do you think you are to give me musr? Then you make sense to act. It's akdama to the lamazeh. Mesha'en Kain, right? He's basically saying your rebuke is worthless to me. Why? Because you by looking at chazeh at the nashim, it's taking away this chuz to give me musr. However, if you're just telling me it means chazai and lashon nevuah, then there's extra words of the lamazeh, ayin marsha by richas. But let's continue. What does it mean? The pasuk vayihi b'mei shvayit avshayftim. Right? We wanted earlier. We said this is the pasuk in Rus. We learned to say even the judges were corrupt. Because the judges themselves were corrupt. The judge would say to the defendant, remove the splinter from between your teeth. Refrain from a minor infraction, which is basically just a splinter. And the defendant would tell the judge, you're telling me about splinters. What about the beams? It's a lashon heavy, right? Beams between your eyes. Amar lai. The judge would tell the defendant, Kaspei chayu lesigim. Your silver is dross. It's like it's expression that they're using from Yeshaya. Amar lai. The defendant replied to him, Savich mo b'mayim. Your wine is mixed with water. You're diluted. What you're telling me? Who are you to give me musr? You guys are so corrupt. Okay, sounds like today's politics. All right, let's continue weiter. We're talking about Malkus Shiva. Amar Shmuel ben Achmini Am Yenis and Kalaim Malkus Shiva. Ishayas. Some say it was a queen, not a melech. My Malkus. So what's it mean? My Malkus Shiva it means Malchus de Shiva, monarchy. The monarchy, it's king of Shiva. Okay. However, they bring that over here that the Marsha learns the Gemara a little differently. That Eina Chanamia was a queen. But don't think she just got her schos of a queen by marrying the marriage of a king. Rather, my Malchus Shiva, Malchusa de Shiva was on her own right that she became the queen. Okay. That's the Marsha wants to learn this Gemara. I'm going to continue with Eve. Now we're going to go through Eve, I think, till basically very long daf Rabbi say tomorrow till Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. Actually, almost till the end of the parak. We're going to finish also at the end of the parak with Geshmak Psukim. And then tomorrow's Thursday and Friday we're going to Knak Layachvar. And then we're going to have a few, not even a few months. We're going to have only a month or two, not even, until we go right back into the beginning of the fifth parak. We're going to have many, over 20 beautiful stories, Mashallah. We're going to do the Mashal. But let's continue. We're not done yet. Vayihi hayoim. This is Psukim and Eve. Vayihi hayoim. A certain day. Vayavoyu b'nei Elokim l'siatzi b'Lashem. Malachim came to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Vayavagam asat Masaychim. The Satan came along. He's the one who tries to kill us today. We know it's the Yetzer Hara. You wanted to give permission to kill us. The Malach HaMavet's ma'ayin tava Hashem told the Satan. Where do you come, Yana Satan? He says, I'm coming from the earth. Amar lefanav. The Satan told the Rebbeinu Shalom. Shasti b'cholayim kulay. I look through, I explore the whole entire world. And like namatzasi nemon ki av the chavram. I never found anyone as loyal as Avraham Avinu Shamat like you told him. Kol mesalach baretz la'arka l'rachba ki lechat neno. We all know that Rebbeinu Shalom promised the land of Canaan to Avraham Avinu. V'afilachi b'shashalei matzamakam l'kvar Sarah. And yet he was not able to bury his own wife. He never even questioned the Rebbeinu Shalom. Right? We all know the Maisa with the Maris Machpelah. Okay. Mar continues. Hashem el Satan. Rebbeinu Shalom told the Satan, Hasanta libcha l'avdi Eov ki ein kamayu ba'aretz. There's no one as good as Eov. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Gadol hanemer b'Eov yoisem imash hanemer b'Avram. Why? Why is Rebbeinu Shalom praising Eov more deal b'Avram ksiv ki ati adati? For now I know ki yirei lekim ato b'Eov ksiv ish tam v'yasha yirei lekim v'samei ra. My v'samei ra. What's it mean? He removes himself from ra, from evil. Amar Rabbi Abba Rashmuel Eov vatrim b'mimayna haya. He was a mivat. There was money minhag shalaylam that a person owes his work a half a pruta naisachetzi pruta lechenvani. He pays the half a pruta by buying a pruta's worth of merchandise. He gives the worker half. That's the only way to divide it because it's a half. It's one of 192 of azuz. Eov vitra mishalai. However, Eov would give the whole entire pruta to the worker. The Gemara continues with the Satan telling the Rebbeinu Shalom, Vayana Satan es Hashem Vayoymar, and he would say, Hachinam Yarei Eov Elikim. It's nothing that Eov is afraid of the Rebbeinu Shalom. Haloi Atzachta v'Adoi v'Ad Beisa. You gave him everything he needs. It's much easier to approach someone who's everything. Rebbeinu Shalom just blesses him with everything. Parnasa, Shalom Bayis, Kindalach, Hashira is covered. What's he have to complain? It's not a chiddush. So my Maisa Yadabrachta, what does it mean that Rebbeinu Shalom blessed him? Amar Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yitzchak, Kalai Naito Pruta Me'iyah. Whoever took a pruta from Eov, Mizbarech, and Mayu Mekaneu Paretz Baretz, and his possessions are spread out throughout the land. Amar Rabbi Yisrael Chanina Mikneu Shel Eov Partzu Gidra Shalaylam. The flax of Eov Partzu Zalashon breach the natural order. Why? Minago Shalaylam Zavim Argamizim. That's how God, the Rebbeinu Shalom, created. Wolves kill sheep. However, the opposite would happen with Eov. Miknei Shel Eov Izim would hargim and say Zavim. Let's continue a little more. Ulam. The narrative continues. V'ulam shlachna yadcha. So the Satan told the Rebbeinu Shalom, stretch out your hand. The gabachal Hashem lay up anecha v'yivarechecha. Stretch it. Basically, give him all the punishments and see if he does not bless you to your face. So the Rebbeinu Shalom told the Satan, you could do whatever you want to him. You could attack his family and his property, but not him. There was a certain day, they're having a wonderful time. They're sitting at the Bechar's house. Right? The Bechar. We also, by name, we have a very large mishpacha, and we have the Bechar. We always refer to him as the Bechar. We go to his house, and the house of the Bechar. Malach ba el Eov. Malach would come to Eov, and the oxes were plowing. What happened? What does it mean? The oxes were plowing, and the animals were grazing nearby. Sounds like that as soon as the seeds were planted, immediately there was growth for in order for the animals to eat it. What's the meina lamhaba? When Mashiach comes, we're going to today, when Mashiach comes in Miyat Hashem, Isha is going to get muberes and give birth that same day. Like the pasuk in here says, it says, "V'yikapstim miyarkesei haretz bam iver hufiseich hara v'yeledes yachtav." What's it mean? Hara v'yaledes rachtov zok Rashi that what? Haryon v'leid b'yamechad tzigmar and Shabbos lamed beis. Just like a Isha is going to get immediately pregnant and give birth the same day, so too over here what happened by Eov, the sprouting happened immediately after the planting. Everyone should have a wonderful day. Tomorrow we're going to continue with Daf Tezayin with Eov. We're going to continue the narrative, what happened later. Everyone should have a wonderful day.
Yeah.
Oh, this is fascinating.